They wanna bury me, I'm worried. I'm losing my mind, look down the barrel of my knife.
Who shot ya? Separate the weak from the opsa. Leak hard to creep them Brooklyn streets. It's on, nigga. Fuck all that bickering beef. I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek. Your heartbeat sound like Sasquatch feet. Thundering, shaking the concrete. Then the shit stopped when I fall the plot. Neighbors call the cops, then they heard mad shots.
That's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. Fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas fuck for life. Plus, Puffy trying to see me weak, hearts I rip. Biggie Smalls and Junior Mafia, some mark ass bitches. We keep on coming while we running for your Jews.
Only on underground, man.
Okay, alright. Let me see how I'm gonna hit you with.
You wanna set it off?
Yeah, I'm scared to do some freestyle. I'm scared to do some freestyle. Flow, I'm too high and I might go off tempo, but now I'm back to let these niggas know just how deep my game run to apocalypse, don't sleep. I keep a motherfucking Glock in my car. If I'm holding in the club, I gotta be the fucking star. So everybody wanna smile and raise their hands. I got a razor, in case I gotta do a next, man, cause you know how niggas be. They wanna see if Pac is real or is he like that nigga in the movie. I guess I gotta prove my point. Slicing motherfuckers, now I'm doing a joint. I got my nigga B.I. to the G beside me. Yeah. Bitches on my dick, you know the hoes wanna rob me. And my other homies out here like Spike Lee, they got the camera on the nigga, guess they like me. But now I'm about to pass this motherfucker on, cause this Tangeray is getting hella strong.
Money, hoes, and clothes. Blunt smoke coming out the nose is all a nigga knows. Flipping on foes, putting tags on toes, watching the stash grow, clocking the cash flow. The neighborhood grave digger, getting paid so much, all the bitches want to see a nigga. I guess they figure I'm paid, I want to get laid. Or since I got loot, I want to knock boots. I'd rather beat my dick than trick. And if she don't suck, then we don't fuck. I'd rather make a buck, drive a fat ass truck, grab the 9, 2 clips and run amok. Yes, flex after 2 or 3 Bexes, I wreck shit. What the fuck you expected? A fly guy? Well, fuck it, I'm the high guy. From Bed-Stuy, putting the swelling on your eye. Your nose even, when I choke you, you stop breathing. When police come, I'm leaving. Peace and love. Here we go.
He just tried to hang out randomly at the tunnel. And I don't know what the tunnel bouncers. I don't know what type of drugs they was on, but they.
There was a lot happening that night.
And
there was a lot happening.
It was bad. Big was fighting. Like it was just crazy, and niggas getting cut. Big got cut. It was just crazy.
It was a lot. You know what? It was tight, and it was just somewhere.
Tupac was there that night.
I remember.
Yeah, he came for a minute because they were standing in the front talking for 2 seconds. And
this was, but wait, I'm sorry. I'm thinking the night. I'm thinking Easy and Cube. I don't remember the night that Pac was there.
Pac came to the tunnel one night, and they was talking for a second. I'll never forget that because everybody was just sitting there looking at them.
Was this before it went a little haywire or after?
Yeah, oh yeah, this is way before. Because Pac used to he pulled up on Fulton Street one time, a big old garbage bag. Nas just happened to come through too. So it was like everybody was just talking, you know, like, oh shoot, you know, Nas, Tupac and Biggs is out there. And you know, C's just going and running back and forth to the store getting mad blunts because they couldn't keep up with the garbage bag of weed. So Big Pac came through and they was out there in front of the, it was like a little chicken spot and the liquor store was right there. He just tried to hang out randomly at the tunnel.
Coverage that they got, but it added to sales.
people that know Pac had like 15 cases in different states in America. We would go do a show, Pac would go straight to court as soon as we get off the airplane.
Don't block my way and don't hit my lawyer.
Great artists are almost always out of step with what's going on in society because they see the world differently and they act differently.
The last situation he got into, Interscope kind of like left him for dead. They wasn't really fucking with Pac like that.
Shakur and another man were accused of sexually assaulting and sodomizing a 21-year-old woman in their hotel room last year.
It's not a crime for me to be with any girl I want to be with. It's a crime for that girl to turn that into a rape charge. It was her who sodomized me. It wasn't me who went down in the dance club and ate her out. It was her in the dance club who had oral sex with me. She should be charged, not me.
Last night, just after midnight, at 723 7th Avenue, that's between 48th and 49th Street, our rap star, Tupac Shakur, and 3 members of his group were robbed and shot.
The word on the streets is that it was a warning to Tupac. Who was it coming from?
In a bizarre twist of events, rap singer Tupac Shakur checked himself out of Bellevue Hospital late Wednesday night after the 23-year-old was shot 5 times early that same morning inside the lobby of a Times Square recording studio.
Shakur had appeared in court today but had little to say about being shot.
Mr. Shakur, how are you this morning?
After 3 days of deliberations, the jury has finally decided the fate of rapper Tupac Shakur. Guilty on 3 counts of sexual abuse, he now faces 1.5 to 4.5 years in prison.
The main impetus for the incarceration of Mr. Shakur was from City Hall. Mr. Giuliani himself.
Being 23, being black, and last name being Shakur in America, he never had a chance.
Tupac was in jail, and he wanted out of jail, and he wanted out of jail badly. No one, including Interscope, was putting up any bail money to get him out, and his bail was set at $1.4 million.
A lot of people on the East Coast, a lot of people in New York City dissed him hard, man. They dissed him on the radio. No one went to go visit him except for a few people.
And he wanted to be #1 again. So where else do you go but to where the other #1 people are?
Death Row Records had been trying to get Tupac for some time.
If you got Suge Knight dangling in front of you, you know, freedom, money, power, respect, can get you out of jail. Obviously, you're gonna go for it. You got a scared young man, first time behind bars. He's supposed to be back there for 4 years.
Pac promised him in return, you get me out of here, I'll put Death Row on the map. My first CD will sell 6 million copies.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that Suge wanted him on Death Row Records so badly, because even though Snoop was a huge star, he didn't have what Tupac had, that kind of icon presence like a James Dean or Elvis.
Now, I heard that he had Pac sign a contract on toilet paper. I don't know how true it is, but I know when Pac came back, he was ready.
Tupac got out in September of '95. He went to Death Row Records this day he got off the plane, and they laid down their first track for All Eyes on Me in 15 minutes.
This album is more celebratory of life, upbeat, energetic, fun, I think. But it's also harsher in terms of the language, because I've been in jail for 11.5 months.
Tupac brought the feeling of I was nothing, now I'm something, and I want everybody else to be something too. If I could do it, you can do it.
He stirred up the whole group there. He got them all going and all working. He made sure that every artist at Death Row had some part of this double CD. It was his way of saying, look, I'm part of the family, and I want you on my album, which he did not have to do.
Like, I remember doing a session with him, you know, and it seemed like he was just running around having fun, just partying, you know, having a good time. But the man was done. We thought that he didn't even write them. We thought he came with his lyrics already, but no, he wrote them that day. And that's just how sharp he was, man.
You had people around the studio saying, man, we gotta get like Pac. Pac just go in there, kick him in, kick him out, kick him in, kick him out. And that's all they talk about. And exactly what they're doing.
He made the level of competition, which is a good thing. He brought that level up. Any of the artists will tell you that what Tupac put into them was this business of the work ethic, where you can do more if you just work at it.
When Tupac came, it's like Suge wasn't worried about nobody else, not Snoop, nobody at the time. Nobody.
He didn't care nothing about any of the other artists at that time. He says all he needs is Tupac. He says Tupac is such a genius, And this guy is a workaholic. He didn't want no girls. He didn't want nothing. All he wanted was to go to the studio and go to work. He wanted to take his experiences and share it with the world.
Around the time that Tupac got out of jail, Sean Puffy Combs was about to become, I would say, the East Coast version of Suge Knight with Bad Boy Records. You know, his first big artist was the Notorious B.I.G.
This bullshit about the East Coast and the West Coast started when we went out to New York to do the Source Awards. And Mr. Knight went on stage, and he's in New York City, and we all know Puffy's from New York City.
Any artists out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
I mean, the whole crowd started booing, and man, I thought to myself, like, why would you do that?
The East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row. Y'all don't love us. Y'all don't love us. Well, let it be known then. We know y'all East Coast. We know we at East Coast and F. I'm the executive producer that a comment was made about a little bit earlier. But check this out. Contrary to what other people may feel, I would like to say that I'm very proud of Dr. Dre, of Death Row, and Suge Knight for their accomplishments. And all this East and West that needs to stop.
It was so personal. Puffy was a good friend of mine.
There's enough room in this business for two young black males who are entrepreneurs to exist. I mean, can you imagine if Al Bell and Berry Gordy were fighting, or if the Temptations had beef with the Four Tops? I mean, it sounds fucking retarded when you think about it. Yo, the Four Tops got beef with the Temptations. Marvin Gaye and Smokey Robinson were fighting at the Grammy Awards last night. I mean, think about that for a second.
A lot of people on the West Coast felt that we have always had love for the East Coast, you know. They can come here and break their records. They come here and play at the clubs. You know, they come do in-stores. We do the whole nine with them East Coast cats. And we go out there and we don't get that same love.
I remember New York DJs at parties refusing to play West Coast records. They country, they're Bamas, they wear jerry curls, they can't rhyme, they're whack, it's not danceable.
It was the media that blew it up, you know. You're seeing certain things that somebody said highlighted in magazines about the West Coast and vice versa, and it just boiled over from there.
All these people talking about an East Coast, West Coast war, they like the Judas was to Jesus. They only here to cause confusion.
It made rap music look bad. It made rap music look like it's just another part of the dope game.
Controversy is what Death Row started living off of, instead of talent.
If this was chess, we'd be yelling checkmate 3 motherfucking years ago, because we've been beat these motherfuckers.
Then the disrespect just started getting worse and worse between the West Coast and the East Coast.
Overthrow the government y'all got right now, which is Bad Boy and Nas and all that bullshit, and we will bring a new government here that will feed every person in New York.
And then you had the Tupac and Big situation, you know, flaming it even more.
I possess his soul, his and Puffy. They know that I was the truest nigga involved with Biggie's success. I was the biggest help. I was the truest nigga. I don't write his rhymes, but he know how much he borrowed from me. He know how I used to stop my shows and let him touch the show. Let him blow up and do his whole show in the middle of my show. How I used to buy him shit and give him shit and never ask for it back. How I used to share. How I used to share my experiences in the game and my lessons and my rules and my knowledge on the game with him. You know what I mean? He owed me more. He owed me more than to turn his head and act like he didn't know niggas was about to blow my fucking head off. He knew. But for me to know, like, 3 weeks ago this happened, and then 3 weeks later your album's coming out and you are fucking done in your album. But you don't know who shot me in your fucking hometown. This nigga's from your neighborhood, and I gotta find out by myself. And I don't even call myself a dime, just a capo from the west side. And I'm on the east side in jail, and I know who touched me, and I know everything that happened.
Tupac was wrong in blaming whoever the individual figures were who actually had something to do with it in New York and making it into this whole New York City thing and then this East Coast, West Coast thing. And I think that he definitely had someone in his ear, probably Suge, exacerbating it. It sells records. It continues to get media attention, which sells more records.
Tupac had claimed to have gone out with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans. This was a great humiliation, reportedly, for Biggie. It was all over.
We were in Manhattan shooting a video. Biggie Smalls had gotten on the radio station, and Biggie said that I cannot believe that New York is allowing Tupac and the Dog Pound to shoot a video in our city right in the heart of Times Square. The words out of Biggie's mouth was Tupac and the Dog Pound. And it wasn't. It was Snoop and the Dog Pound. Tupac was not with us. Snoop at the time was having his hair braided. And all of the artists was in the trailer. And then all of a sudden, gunfire. Someone shot into the trailer. They weren't shooting in there to say, you know, get out. They were shooting there to kill someone.
There was a shift in Tupac Shakur's lyrical content. He, at first, was more political, then at some point he became more street. It was West Coast versus East Coast.
The person at Rikers Island was very reflective, and he's going to change his life and everything. This new person was like, fuck New York, fuck the East Coast. Sugar's the man, he takes care of me, he's flashing money in front of the MTV cameras. It was like, wow, it was Jekyll and Hyde.
One of the songs was a song called Hit 'Em Up. It talked about killing the bad boy camp, you know, different artists. It was a lot of threats. I go, Pac. I go, did you hear what you said? He was like, yeah, nigga, I wrote it. Okay, we're gonna need some more security, and you need to start wearing a vest. He had gotten on the radio station, and Biggie said that I cannot believe that New York is allowing Tupac and the Dog Pound to shoot a video in our city right in the heart of Times Square. The words out of Biggie's mouth was Tupac and the Dog Pound. And it wasn't. It was Snoop and the Dog Pound. Tupac was not with us. Snoop at the time was having his hair braided. And all of the artists was in the trailer. And then all of a sudden, gunfire. Someone shot into the trailer. They weren't shooting in there to say, you know, get out. They were shooting there to kill someone.
There was a shift in Tupac Shakur's lyrical content. He, at first, was more political, then at some point he became more street. It was West Coast versus East Coast.
The person at Rikers Island was very reflective, and he's going to change his life and everything. This new person was like, fuck New York, fuck the East Coast. Sugar's the man, he takes care of me, he's flashing money in front of the MTV cameras. It was like, wow, it was Jekyll and Hyde.
One of the songs was a song called Hit 'Em Up. It talked about killing the bad boy camp, you know, different artists. It was a lot of threats. I go, Pac. I go, did you hear what you said? He was like, yeah, nigga, I wrote it. Okay, we're gonna need some more security, and you need to start wearing a vest.
Anytime you have this synergy between two or more people and they make things happen, when you start breaking that up, things are never the same again.
When you think about Dr. Dre, here's a cat who's always had some sort of big brother or father figure around him. Early on, it was Alonzo Williams. Then it was Eazy-E, Jerry Heller. Then it becomes Suge Knight. And so Dre was one of those cats who always needed guidance from someone else, because Dre is really an artistic person. He's an artist. He's a true artist.
Seemed like after a while somebody was pulling his strings. You know, like Dre had to answer to somebody.
Who do you think that was?
We all know who that was.
The king, i.e. Suge Knight, felt the need to have the court around him, and I don't think Dre felt comfortable with that.
I've got all these people around me. How many of them do I really need?
Tupac and Dr. Dre was fine in the beginning. Everything was great. I mean, you didn't see any problems. From the time that I worked there in '95 up until early '96, Dr. Dre had been in the studio twice. Pac took offense to that.
He wasn't producing shit. Other niggas was producing the beats, like on my album. Other niggas was doing the beats, and Dre was getting the credit.
Das and all the other little producers and Sass and all the ones we have, and they did the tracks. Dre wasn't doing the tracks, and Dre didn't write the lyrics.
Suge basically took on the role for Tupac that he had taken on for Dre, and I don't think it's a coincidence that at a certain point, you know, Tupac started becoming the mouthpiece for Suge and started dissing Dre.
He is a dope producer, but he ain't worked in years. I'm out here in the streets, You know what I mean? Whooping niggas' ass, starting wars and shit, putting it down, dropping albums, doing my shit. And this nigga taking 3 years to do one song.
I seen the change, like, right after we finished Murder Was the Case and we moved into Can-Am Studios and started working on the Dog Food album. I just seen that he wasn't as inspired, and it was like, it was too many thugs and niggas up there that didn't have nothing to do with nothing.
It was mostly just the way the studio was, you know, and that's where I have to spend most of my time.
It was not a work atmosphere no more. It became fun and games, and the success that kicked in, and we were stars, and motherfuckers just loved being around us and bringing bullshit around us, and Dre wasn't for that.
I just didn't like some of the things that were going on. There was nothing being done to stop it.
Dre likes to work in an environment where he can create, and everybody's on a creative atmosphere, and it's not about what's going on in the hood, how many niggas you shot, and how much shit you done did. That ain't, he don't want that.
Suge took over the company. It was no mystery to nobody. I don't think Dre wanted to be a yes man for somebody, so he wanted his own situation again. So he bailed out.
He says, wait, I want out of this world. I want to form Aftermath, where I'm not part of death row anymore. I want to be beyond that. I want to be with my family. I want to live.
When Dr. Dre left Death Row Records, that was the biggest shock to me, because I was real confused at how you start a label and you leave the label. I always figured if you had a problem with somebody and when you're a label, you make them leave the label and you go on with what you're doing. I guess that was the way of learning that it wasn't all his label.
Dre's departure wasn't a loss. I mean, if you have a multi-million-dollar company, maybe worth $1 billion or so, and you own it 100% and don't have a partner, and you didn't have to give him nothing but his walking papers, that's great.
Dre made Death Row Records, you know what I'm saying? And this is absurd that he's gone from one situation to another situation where he feels like he's being undercompensated.
To give up 50% of your label and move on elsewhere from a dangerous situation, which Death Row Records was becoming, and we now find out that it is, was a smart move for him.
September 7th, we were just leaving a fight. Tupac, Mike Tyson, friends, we're at the fight. And we go backstage to leave the building. Immediately after coming from backstage, one of Suge's homeboys came up and whispered into Tupac's ear. Pac took off running. There was a gentleman standing with a MGM security guard by a pillar as Tupac was approaching him. Now, when I think about it, the guy was standing there waiting, and Pac ran up on him, and the fight broke out. Orlando Anderson and a couple of Suge's homeboys had gotten into a fight at the Lakewood Mall in California back in April of '96 over a death row chain, because there was a bounty on the death row chains. The same person that had gotten into altercation with Orlando Anderson in the mall whispered into Tupac's ear, and it caused this fight. They were beating Orlando Anderson up on the ground. Tupac, Suge, and the rest of the entourage, they're pretty much bragging about what had happened. We get back to the Luxor Hotel. So we go up to Tupac's room, he changed clothes, come back downstairs. We're all just standing around. And all the women are coming out, everybody's ready to go over to 662, the after party. So Tupac turns to me and says, no, don't ride with us. He hands me the keys and says, you go drive the little homies, because we're going to the club, we're gonna be partying, and you're gonna drive us. So I said, okay. Pac and Suge get into the BMW. We get back onto the Las Vegas Strip. Suge's the lead car, I'm the car right behind him, and then there's just cars all behind us. So we turn right off of Las Vegas Boulevard onto Flamingo to go down to 662. As we approach the next stoplight, which is Koval in Flamingo, there is a car coming down the open lane that is next to myself and the BMW. As the car is approaching, I turn and I look to my right, and I see the car, and it's a white Cadillac. It kind of had moved over, and I would say closer to the BMW, probably about that close. And an arm just comes out and just starts firing.
Heard the shots being fired. Pac stood up to try to get in the back seat to get out to where the shots. That's how he got shot in his hip, which hit one of the bones and traveled to hit his lung. I grabbed him and said, "Get down," and covered him. When I pulled him down, that's when I got shot in my head. So you hit? He said, "I'm hit." So I'm driving like a madman to a hospital. And the first thing he said, laughingly, jokingly, loudly, is, "I need the hospital? You the one shot in the head."
Coming up next on the 10 o'clock news, his lyrics, his life reflected a gangster lifestyle. Tonight, Bay Area rapper Tupac Shakur is dead of gunshot wounds.
It's been all over the media, all over the news, all over the radio.
Hundreds line the streets outside a Nation of Islam school to pay their respects to the slain rapper.